All right, and I think we are live on YouTube. All right, welcome everybody. If you are watching the replay of this, big shout out to you guys. We do these Sunday night live chats every week, or at least we try to every week. I'll come on, I'll talk about a few topics that have happened over the course of the week. We'll just go through and do a bunch of like Q&A stuff. So how can I help you succeed in your business and see me, and then drop some questions for me that I can answer, all right? So it looks like we've got Rocky over on YouTube. Hey, what's up, Rocky? Got a couple people over on YouTube. I'm not sure if, okay, I think Facebook is going. It says I'm live, and it says there's some people watching, but I haven't seen any comments or anything. So let me know over there, guys, if you are watching YouTube channel and also our Facebook channel. So connected on one of those two platforms, let me know and join the other one. So if you're watching this on YouTube, go head over to the Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/hustlebuddies. And if you're on the Facebook group, head over to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/c/hustlebuddiesofficial. I had to add the little official because somebody else already had the word or the name Hustle Buddies. The jerks. All right. Hey, what's up? We've got Kristen, Tracy, Anita, Travis, Valerie. Hey, what's up, guys? Adolfo's watching. Hey, what's up, man? It's been a while since I've seen you. I'm not going to say the store that I know you from, but I know Adolfo. He's a reseller who frequents one of the stores that I go to. Let's see, KJ Halix or Halix. Hey, just wanted to say thank you for all the advice. Hit my first 30-day selling and made 1,000 in sales with about 35% net profit. That is freaking awesome. That's super cool. Those little success stories. Hey, what's up, Nick? Yeah, we're good on Facebook. It looks like that's up and running, and YouTube's going as well. We've got Steven here. What's up, man? Rick and Becky. Hey, what's up, guys? Crystal, Florida. We've got a ton of people from Florida. I think like Florida is just like, I feel like the cost of living is so high and the pay is so low in Florida that everyone just becomes resellers here. I mean, I know so many people who are resellers in Florida. Another person from Florida, Kristen. Hey, what's up? Yeah, that's like at least like 7 of the people I think that are watching this are all from Florida. All right, so I'm gonna hop to some of the things that that we've seen over the past week, some news, some tips. I want to show you guys. I was actually in the store sourcing today, and there was a strategy that I was using that I realized I hadn't ever talked about this, and it's perfect when there are a lot of other resellers in your area. So I'm going to be going over that. And then obviously I'll be doing Q&A stuff. So again, if you're just joining us, drop your questions in the comment section, and I will try to go through as many of those as I can at the end of the video. So stick around for that, and I will get your questions. All right, so I made a post, I don't know, maybe like 3 or so hours ago in the Facebook group, and it was a listing that I saw for sanitizer, for hand sanitizer. And I know, I mean, 2 or 3 months ago, this was all over the news. Like, oh, there's so many people price gouging on Amazon, third-party sellers ruining it, and they're evil, and this, that, and the other. And Amazon tried to sort of throw us under the bus in a PR attempt to sort of save face. And they said, yes, we banned, like, I think they said like 1,300 sellers for price gouging hand sanitizer and things like that. And we're working to stop that, blah, 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 blah. And if you guys were a part of the group, and I posted, and I would post like the official statements and the official news pieces, and then I would always put like, my own thoughts in the comment section. So I want to give you guys like the baseline of, you can formulate your own thoughts and theories about this, and then I'll give you my take on it sort of down in the comments. So, and I put my opinion down in the comments for, like, it's entirely just to save face. Price gouging is not something like as a word, it does not exist in e-commerce. It doesn't matter if I'm trying to sell a cracker for $1 million. It's impossible for that to be price gouging online. If it's in store, that's a whole different thing. Like if I run the only store in town and I jack up the price of crackers and gasoline and all of that, that is what price gouging is. But it doesn't work online because there's always someone else. Because of how the free market works, it's impossible for me to be the only seller of something. Ergo, it's sort of impossible for me to be price gouging because people can always just go somewhere else to buy it. So anyways, so that was a big thing that I talked about, and I said Amazon is really just saving face. They don't really care. I don't think they've actually shut down any accounts. I've heard them talk about it, but I haven't seen it being done. I know there was like attorney generals talking about like lawsuits and all this and the other. Well, looking at it today, and I looked back over a bunch of the articles, there's actually multiple court cases that have gone down where the courts and the judges have ruled against the attorney generals in these like lawsuits where they're trying to sue sellers for price gouging on the basis of, so I'll use Kentucky as an example. Kentucky, that one just happened really recently. A judge ruled it was unconstitutional for the attorney general to like sue a seller and to get a seller in trouble for price gouging online, because what they were doing essentially, they were mandating Kentucky price gouging laws on an e-commerce store that was selling countrywide. And so Kentucky's price gouging laws were sort of like trying to be put in effect into other territories that this seller was selling in. And the courts was like, that's not really constitutional. You can't force this person, because if he sells something in Texas, you can't tell him he needs to follow Kentucky laws if he's selling to someone who lives in Texas. And that has happened multiple times. So the courts have basically thrown all of these out. There's actually multiple countersuits going against some of these attorney generals for like harassment and price fixing and things like that. And then Amazon, so I know like Amazon did their huge thing, like, oh yeah, we're putting a stop to this and we're shutting down sellers. If you look at the Facebook post that I posted out, I just posted it like 3 hours ago. If you didn't see it, just type in my name, you'll see it at the top of the list. There's a list of this hand sanitizer, and there's like, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 third-party sellers on it, and it's like $19.99, $19.98, and then here is Amazon as the only FBA seller, and Amazon is priced at over $90 for one single bottle of hand sanitizer. Now, I mean, again, technically that's not price gouging. Amazon can price it however they want. But the fact that Amazon made this big like hullabaloo about, oh yeah, this is terrible, we're putting a stop to it and we're banning sellers. But still, like 3 months later, they're still doing it, where Amazon themselves is priced at 90 and everyone else is priced at like 19. I mean, that's just ridiculous. So yeah, hopefully like it's Amazon's playground in the end, and Amazon can do whatever they want in their playground. And that's very evident, and this is just another reminder of that. Okay. All right. So that was sort of my Amazon news. Now let me talk about one of the strategies that I was using in store today. So I went to 1, 2, 3 Walmarts or 4 Walmarts? 4 Walmarts. I went to 4 different Walmarts today. I got an entire Honda Odyssey full of stuff. And there's a couple items where I was looking like at each store. Like I would find it at the first store and I would look in the next stores. And at the second store that I went to, I noticed that they didn't have any of the particular item that I was looking for. And it's fairly common where I live. Like it's one of our pretty common replens. And this store was completely wiped out of it. And I know that I did not do the wiping out of it. And I haven't really ever seen this wiped out. So I was a little bit curious. I was like, oh man, all right, well, let me just look down the rest of the aisle. Like I'll scan some more things in that general area, see if I can find any more replens. And I noticed that there was a couple shelves that were completely empty. Now, I'm not talking about like food shortages and things like that, or like you walk into TJ Maxx and it's just bare shelves everywhere. That's not at all what I'm talking about here. Our Walmarts here in Orlando are fairly well stocked. I don't know where you are. From what I'm hearing, most of the places in the country are pretty well stocked by this point. And so the shelf was mostly stocked, but there was just a couple individual spaces where every single item would be gone. I mean, and usually there'd be like 25 to 40 items of any particular thing on the shelf. So to have pretty much everything there and then all of my replen was missing, and all of this thing was missing, and all of that thing was missing. I thought, I bet that those are somebody else's replens. And I checked by name, because you can see on the little Walmart tag like what is supposed to be there. So I checked. You can't scan it, but I just set it by name. And sure enough, boom, pops up. There's a 2-pack. It's in Walmart. It was selling for like 80 cents, and the 2-pack on Amazon was selling for like $17. And it was ranked, I don't know, like 20, 30,000 in grocery, which is a great rank for grocery. So it's like, boom, sweet. Okay, there's another replen for me. And even though I couldn't get it at that store, I just added that to my rental list. And when I went to the next Walmart, I got all of my own replen. And then I looked next to it, and sure enough, there's that other item that was missing on the shelf of the other Walmart. And they're completely stocked. And I double checked again. It all checks out. So I got all of those as well. And so the trick is, even if you're in an area and you see other people buying a lot of stuff, or you see something is completely gone, especially with replens, especially with like grocery and health and beauty and all of that stuff that is just replenishable that you can buy over and over and over, look for the spaces that are missing and look those up by name to see if it's somebody else's replen that maybe you can find at the next store, or maybe you can find next week or in 2 weeks from now. Fine. So that's a really powerful tactic. It's sort of like the reverse sourcing. We showed you guys, if you're unfamiliar, we did a video maybe like 2 months ago for online arbitrage and how to do some reverse sourcing and see what other people are selling. This is sort of like that, but it's entirely in store. It's entirely just looking at the shelf and seeing what is missing, what's not there. And then our sourcing tip of this week, I'm going to start going through some comments now. Again, if you are just joining us, we do these live chats every week. I'll sort of talk about some news or some tips at the beginning, and we'll do Q&A. So drop your questions in the comment sections, whether you're on YouTube or whether you're on Facebook over there, and I will start going through those. All right. So I'm going to start over with the original post that I made like 30 minutes ago, asking people for some initial questions. Tracy was asking about escalating cases that aren't resolved. There's not a great way to do this. There's some like extreme ways. So for example, like if you have lost your account and you've emailed them like 30 times and you're getting nowhere, shoot me a message and I can talk to you about a sort of that here, because if a lot of people use this method, it's going to get oversaturated, and then it won't actually be effective for these like extreme emergency scenarios. If it's like an item that you're getting like a high pricing error and no one can fix, unfortunately, there's not a good way to escalate that. Just keep reopening, keep bugging them, keep asking for an update. Like if, let's say you're trying to get it in something and they're taking forever, just keep asking for an update like every week. If that doesn't work, every couple days. You can try to open a new one. So yeah, seller support is not one of Amazon's strong suits. So there's not a great answer for that, Tracy. Sorry. Josh was asking about the difference between getting like postal insurance claims and A to Z claims and safety claims and all of that, and the differences. The main difference is who you are doing the claim through. Now, I don't advise doing this, but I don't think any of the different claims are connected. So for example, like if a package goes missing and you tell a customer to open an A to Z claim, let's say the customer doesn't respond to you and you're like, oh, I don't know if they actually did, or maybe they did, and they're like, oh, I don't want to do that. You do this for me. You can make a claim with the postal service, like with USPS, for example. We've done this a number of times. If someone doesn't get their package, or their package is all damaged, or the box is smashed, I'll ask them to take pictures of the box, take pictures of the product, and then I will forward those pictures on to USPS, and I will open a claim with them. Theoretically, the customer could then also open an A to Z claim like a week or two later. Maybe they change their mind. They're like, oh, actually, I am going to do this. I'm tired of being a lazy bum and I'm going to do this myself. And I don't think that the two are actually related, but it really just has to do with who you are doing it through. There's not like a always do this or always do that. You can really sort of go either way. yeah, I guess it would sort of depend on why something. So like you could do an A to Z claim if someone tries to get a refund because it's late. And you could do like a USPS claim if someone receives a box and it's just obliterated, like it looks like an elephant sat in the box or something. Let's see. Someone asked, B2B2 asks, besides for them being the only seller and a good studio picture, I mean, everything should have a good studio picture if it exists on Amazon. So that's not a good way to tell if something is a private label. He's trying to figure out how to tell if something is a private label item. Look for the one seller thing. And if that one seller is the same name as the brand, then that's probably a private label. I don't usually worry too much about this unless we start getting into like electronics or something like that. Yeah, or like as seen on TV stuff, you'll run into, those are usually like single private label sellers. But if it's at Walmart, there's a very low chance that there's only one private label seller. It will happen occasionally, but there's a very low chance that there's only one private label seller on Amazon that's kicking everybody else off. Anita is asking, she printed labels and then she noticed she had entered an audiobook twice. So first off, just delete both of those audiobooks because you can't sell. I mean, unless you have a digital copy of an audiobook or a physical copy of the digital version of the audiobook, but I'm guessing that you listed that incorrectly. So delete those audiobooks. And then she says she's missing a label for one item. There is a way to print the labels. Anita, I haven't used Seller Central in years for listing things. So I don't know exactly where that button is located to like reprint shipping labels, or I'm sorry, item labels. But someone in chat, if you guys are listening, if you know how to like reprint an item label when you're listing in Seller Central, type that answer into chat and then hopefully Anita can get her answer there. Valerie asks, what is your process for documenting receipts and inventory when the UPC and store barcode don't match on the receipt? So it's not really any different than anything else. It all goes into Inventory Lab. So our receipt process, let me see if I can, I'll unplug this so you guys can see it real fast. So our receipt process, I have a Fujitsu Scan Snap, and we link this, or like the tools we use video. If you go to the description, it will show you the exact like model and everything that I use. So I recommend just go to our YouTube video, like the tools we use, and then click on that link to find this scanner. But basically we scan all of our receipts in, and then we run it through OCR, which is optical character recognition. And that will change a picture of numbers and letters to actual numbers and letters on your computer that you can highlight and copy and paste and all of that stuff. So we do all of that first, regardless of where it's from. Then when we go to Inventory Lab, we will put in all of the cost of goods there. That's really all you need. Like when you're inputting your cost of goods, it doesn't really matter if the UPC on the receipt doesn't pertain to the item. If the IRS ever comes knocking, like, I mean, that's explainable. You can show them, here is the receipt. Yes, it doesn't say the exact item, but it says like men's shoe for X amount. Here's that item I input for X amount. It was this and all of that. So it's not, I think that's likely something. There's a lot of things in this business that I think people sort of overthink and they get a little bit too worried about. I think this might be one of those cases, Valerie. I wouldn't worry too much about the documentation of receipts as far as like accounting purposes. Annette, I haven't sourced since COVID began. I want to begin again. I think I've forgotten everything. Yep, that happens. Where should I start? Are people still doing FBA or mostly FBM? They're doing both. Yeah, they are both alive and kicking. Prior to COVID, we were 100% FBA. Post-COVID, we're maybe like 70-30 FBA to FBM. But just because I'm 70-30 doesn't mean, oh, that's the magic number. Everyone should be 70-30. It's just how I happen to be listing things. Yeah, you can do both. They're both viable. Everything's open. If you've forgotten everything, then go ahead and go through like our YouTube beginner videos and all of that stuff. And that should get you back on the right track. All right, so those were all of the comments from the original post. Now I will jump over and start doing some of the live ones. All right, so I'm gonna start here with my YouTube folks. Also, if you're watching on YouTube, we've got 24 people watching this live right now. If you guys wouldn't mind giving this a thumbs up, it really helps us out a ton with like the YouTube algorithm and showing YouTube that our content is real and it's worth watching and worth showing to people. So that helps us out a lot if you guys can give the video a like over here. All right. Monica says, I'm so thankful for you guys and the support. I'm waiting for one more sale and I will hit $100,000 in sales in 9 months. That is insane, Monica. That's awesome. Yeah, congratulations. You've been kicking some butt out there. You definitely earned that. But that's the thing. So like a lot of people, for example, maybe I make a post on Reddit or I make a post on like a Dave Ramsey group or a Choose FI group and I talk about what we do. There's always like 30 people who are like, oh yeah, but you started 4 years ago. You can't actually start doing this today. But that's not true. Like Monica started today, well, 9 months ago, but like Monica started now and she's done 100,000 in her first 9 months. And that's not uncommon. There was a post that we did, if you guys are curious, there's a post that we did at the at the very end of May in Hustle Buddies, in the Facebook group Hustle Buddies, the very end of May, look at an announcement post from me. And it was asking people for their stories, like how much money did they start with? How long have they been selling? What is their why? And what are their total sales? And there's like 50 people who have over $100,000 in sales in less than a year. And there was only, I don't know, maybe 100 comments. So it's like half the comments were just people blowing it out of the water. Yeah, that's so awesome, guys. We're super pumped. We always hope that Hustle Buddies would sort of become this space where we could help people like get financially independent, get out of debt, start businesses and all of that. And that was sort of like our dream back when it first started, and it's definitely come to fruition. So you guys are doing awesome. Let's see. There's some random comments. If you're looking on the YouTube comments, I apologize, guys. Let's see. Any business insurance companies you recommend? See, the thing is with insurance, it doesn't like, it needs to exist, but they're all the same. It's like, oh, do you prefer Geico or do you prefer this? Do you prefer the other? It doesn't matter. They're all the same. You're never going to use it unless you get sued, which again, isn't really going to happen. You're just sort of, you need to have it just in case. There's not like, oh yeah, this is a good company. Because if they were a good company, that would mean that they would have multiple people who've gotten sued, who've given them good reviews. There's not enough people getting sued for anyone to get reviews. So they're basically all the same. The most common names that I hear on the low budget end, I think it's called Next Insurance. And on the high end range, it was Ashland Hayden. Those are the two insurance companies that I've heard their names get thrown around all the time. Oh no, your ScanSet died? You should definitely, if it's within 3 weeks, you should be able to return that on Amazon. If not, you should reach out to Fujitsu and talk to them, and I'm sure that they would send you another one. Usually companies like this are really good, especially in like the business, since they're making things for business owners. Usually they're really good about swapping out and fixing things. Where are you at with Walmart selling? I'm in Orlando. I'm not sure I totally understand that question, Rocky. Val Stutz said she started in April, so that's just a couple months ago. What is this, July? It's like April. I can't count backwards in months. 3 months ago, 4 months ago. She did 65,000 to date. That's awesome. And you were a school bus driver, which I imagine there's not a big need for that right now. So that's awesome that you've been able to pivot and still generate income. Someone putting their kid to bed, but they're gonna, yeah. So these, all of these like live chat videos, they're all recorded for people who are watching. It's much easier to find the recorded thing on YouTube. So if you're watching this now on Facebook, Facebook's visual is sad. Yeah, I think I need to get, maybe it's my computer. All right, popping over to Facebook. Yeah, sorry about the lag, guys. I might have to just get like a new computer, or maybe I'll try Alicia's computer next time. Maybe that'll be less laggy. Crystal says, yeah, Florida has all the sales. I mean, I think sales sort of go countrywide, but man, there are so many stores here. I remember like last year I was looking for something at Barnes and Nobles. There was a good sale at Barnes and Nobles, and I did a search from my house, and I was like, okay, I'm willing to drive like an hour and a half radius around my house. There was, I want to say 17 Barnes and Nobles within a 1.5 hour drive of where I'm currently sitting. And there's so many stores here between Orlando, and I can go to Tampa, and I can go to Daytona and Melbourne. Like all of that is within a 1.5 hour drive from where I'm sitting right now. Even like Jacksonville is not too far away. Yeah, there's so many places nearby. Travis wants to know the links for like a step-by-step video. So we've got some classes for the people who really want to like just jumpstart their business. We do lots of stuff on YouTube, obviously, and that's great. And you can watch plenty of YouTube. But if you really want stuff like broken down, okay, do step A, then step B, then step C. We've put together a super cheap. It's like $19 or something, a little beginner webinar. That's on our website. If you go to hustlebuddiesofficial.com, and then at the top, you'll see a list of like all of the webinars. It is one of those. You'll see the beginner one in there if you want to grab that. Sheena is in Southern California. That's a place we would like to visit one of these days. Oh yeah, and yeah, there's some links as well. Thanks for posting that, Stephen. There's some links like an FAQ and stuff like that in the Facebook group as well, and that's helpful. Let's see. So Eddie asked if there's anyone from Dallas, Texas. So if you guys look, I want to say it was like 4 months ago or so, Nicole, one of the mods in Hustle Buddies, made a post in the group, and she posted every single state name as a comment. So basically her post was like, here is the, I don't know, the get together or something. If anyone remembers this, maybe they can give me the keywords, or maybe they can comment on it to just bump it or something, like just comment bump on that post. But Nicole Barton made a post and she put every single state. So you don't need to write where you are. You just go to her comment with your state and then put a sub response comment to that state. And you'll see who is in Texas, Eddie, if you do it that way. Hey, Eric, how do I get rich quick? Well, get married to someone with a lot of money. I don't know. That seems to be a pretty good way. Or if you've got rich parents, you could always, no. Let's see. I cannot create a shipment because apparel storage limit reached. How do I fix that? So most likely, Rick says he hit like an apparel storage limit. Most likely that has to do with your inventory performance score, or your inventory performance inter IPI score. If that's below a certain threshold, then Amazon will limit the quantity of stuff that you can send for certain categories. So check your IPI score. If it's below 400, then you're gonna have to work on that. It's basically just get some fast moving things and sell through them real fast, reprice stuff. You just got to get inventory out. You got to delete old inventory. You got to do what you can to fix your IPI score. If your IPI score is okay, then my guess would be that's a glitch. Try refreshing that page. But yeah, I would be surprised if it's not your IPI score. Crystal, if I'm trying to get ungated in toys, should I get ungated? Oh, she's asking about the order, if she should do brand first and then category, or category and then brands. So it doesn't really matter. And if you use the same invoice for all of them, so you pretty much apply to everything all at once. You can be approved in toys, but gated in Legos. You can also be approved in Lego and gated in toys. So it's like, you just do it all at once. There's not really a specific order that's like, this is the magic order. It always works. Ideally, get a toy that's in multiple things. So I'll use the Lego thing, for example. Get like a Star Wars Lego, and then find the correct listing, and then use that same invoice where you get like 10 of these Star Wars Legos. Because then you'll get ungated in toy, you'll get ungated in Lego, you'll get ungated in learning building block, you'll get ungated in Star Wars, and you might even get ungated in Disney because Disney owns Star Wars, depending on how the listing is set up. But yeah, that one single invoice, so that 10 unit order, you can use that same invoice for as many different things as that product is gated for. And especially with some of those toys, they can be gated for a lot of different things. Rick's. Okay, yeah, so you are under 400. So there's some tricks with that. We've talked about some in the group. There's lots of helpful stuff on YouTube as well. We should probably do a YouTube video ourselves about raising up your IPI score. Most people in the group have been so new to Amazon that we haven't had to talk about IPI because it's more of a long-term thing. But I know you've been selling for a while. So yeah, you'll have to get that up. Basically, reprice your stuff, sell stuff out. Delete old listings, like if you're not going to replenish them, completely eradicate those. You can even get like some really fast moving things and sell them at a break-even point. So let's say you find like some gum or something that you can sell it at a break-even, but you can sell like 500 a month. Okay, well, send in 500 packs of gum, and that shouldn't affect you because right now you're hitting your limit for clothing and not for grocery. So that's like, if they're different boxes. So once that gets up, then you should get the unlimited storage again. Let me see. Lisa, that's an excellent question. Will Amazon credit us back what's due to us 45 days after a return? Or do you have to open a claim? Yes. Officially, Amazon will credit you back within that 45-day window. Unofficially, Amazon tends to forget that they owe you money. So I would keep track of that. Personally, I use something called Seller Locker. If you do a search within Hustle Buddies, we've got like an affiliate link for it. If you don't have to use the affiliate link if you don't want to. Just look up Seller Locker. And I can post a comment after this. But so with Seller Locker, it'll basically watch all of those things for you. And if there's something like that you haven't been credited for, it'll be like, oh, hey, did you ever get, like we noticed, not even have you. They said, oh, we noticed Amazon didn't refund you for this and they should have. Do you want to open a case about it? And then you can do it through them. It's easy, like click here, click here, click here, and then it's done. And the great thing about Seller Locker is they don't cost any money unless they make you money. They just take a percentage of whatever funds Amazon sends you that they've won for you. So it's sort of free. They only charge you money that you wouldn't have had anyways. Let's see. Yeah, for the people asking about like wholesalers and getting undid, just do a Google search. There's not like, oh, here's a magic company that'll get you. Well, okay. I'll back up a little bit. there's a company that says, we're a magic company, we'll get you ungated in things, that's no, don't do that. 99 out of 100 times, they're doing something very shady. 1 out of 100 times, it could be legitimate, but it's so simple to do yourself. You don't need to hire a company to get you ungated. So if that's what people are talking about, don't go that route. Just go the route of actually getting yourself ungated. Go to a wholesale company, find a distributor, find whatever product you're looking for, and go from there. So easy ones that we've talked about in the group openly are EE distribution. That will get you toys. So anything you need that's toy related, EE distribution will have. And for groceries, we've talked about Frontier Co-op. All right, and you can do searches in the Hustle Buddies group. And we've done videos on YouTube. We have a whole video like how to get ungated in 2020. It's one of our most popular videos on YouTube. Check that out, and it walks you through step by step exactly what you have to do to get ungated. It's a very simple process. There's no like magic company that will do it for you. Jason did offer to cut my hair for me. Yeah, we've got a couple like in real life friends who are also Amazon friends. So like Jason, him and his family come over all the time to our house. And he did offer to cut my hair, but I politely declined. Not quite sure how that would turn out. Do I use helium-10? No. It's not really useful for retail arbitrage or online arbitrage. It's a very useful tool, but only for private label. Helium-10 has offered me so much money to make videos about them, but I keep telling them that it's completely irrelevant for retail arbitrage sellers. They have a free tool that sort of works like a crappy version of Keepa, but it's a crappy version of Keepa, and I'd rather just tell people to just use Keepa because it's the right tool for the right job. Don't use the crappy version. So they do have that, but it's the free version. So like Helium wouldn't get any commission or money from that anyways. So yeah, no, we don't talk about Helium-10, even though they want to pay us a lot of money. It's fairly useless for arbitrage. But it is great for private label. So if you get into private label, absolutely, Helium-10 is the right tool for the right job in that circumstance. There's a lot of things like that. People are like, oh, do you use this or do you use that? But it's like, okay, if you're trying to build a chair, do you use a forklift or do you use a hammer? And if you're trying to hang lights, do you use a forklift or do you use a hammer? Like, different tools for different jobs. There's not one that's better or worse. There's just one is irrelevant to a certain job. So Jeffrey is asking about if they should avoid listings with a lot of variations, and what if most of those variations are out of stock. So I would never say to avoid a listing with a lot of variations, just be aware that the variations exist. The reason we say be aware of that is because the sales rank of an item is a conglomerate of every single child listing. So a child listing, if you guys are unaware, there's a parent listing. So let's say Nike shoes style 1, 2, 3 is the parent listing. The child listings would be Nike shoe style 1, 2, 3 blue, Nike shoe style red, Nike purple, black, and then blue 10, blue 9, blue 8, blue 7, all the different sizes. So those are all of the different child listings. The reason I say be aware of it is because if this shoe is ranked, let's say 100,000, you're like, okay, 100,000, that's decent in clothing. This should sell. And you notice that there are like 50 different color variations, and each of those color variations has size 14 down to size 5, and it has like the wide versions and the narrow versions. Well, right there's like 1,000 variations on that listing that are all contributing to the sales rank of 100,000. And so when you look at the sales rank of 100,000, it's like, is my item really going to sell like a 100,000 ranked item? Or is my item going to sell like a 1 million or 10 million ranked item because of how many variations are pouring into this. Where does my specific item fall into? So that's why I say be aware of it. And that doesn't really affect if other variations are out of stock or anything like that. I guess, I mean, it sort of does because out of stock variations will cause the sales rank to go up. So, I mean, I guess in that sense, it sort of helps, but that's not really why we say to watch for variation. So I want to give you sort of the back idea as far as why we talk about that. Kristen asked if there's certain items that are easier for FBA and certain that are easier for FBM. Yes, absolutely. Specifically, things that are hard for FBA, like I'll use grocery as an example. If I'm trying to sell a 6-pack of this glass hot sauce or something like that, this glass thing, that is such a pain to do. Well, it's sort of a pain to do either way, but it's a way bigger pain to do FBA because you have to buy a like ready to go box just for those 6 things. You can't just like bubble wrap that together and expect it to be okay, because Amazon might ship that in like a poly bag or in a poly mailer to the end customer. Like you have to make this completely idiot proof for the Amazon warehouse as far as shipping goes. So like it would need its own box. Each thing would be bubble wrapped. It would probably have like the special partitions for shipping glass and all of that stuff. That is doable. And that can be profitable. It's easier to do that FBM because then you have full control over how it's shipped. And so instead of having to get a specific box that's perfect for that, do ready to ship, and then put that box inside of another box, the Emperor's New Groove coming out there. With FBM, you just bubble wrap them all together and then ship them however the best way to ship them is. And it would be a singular box, not the whole box inside of another box, doing that mess. So yeah, that's usually what I find is a little bit easier. Sometimes like really heavy things where you can use like the flat rate mailers are great for that. But there's a lot of listings that we will sell both FBA and FBM because you're allowed to do that and there's not a reason not to. So maybe I just sent 2 days ago, I sent like 150 as one item to Amazon. And today I was at Walmart picking up more. And the ones that I picked up today, I've listed FBM and they're already selling. And then my FBA ones, when they hit the warehouse, they should sell out within like a day or two. So we like to do a little bit of both. Man, there are a ton of questions today. This is awesome, guys. All right, let me see. People are saying on YouTube the video is running a lot smoother now. Awesome. Okay. Yeah, I think it's something with my computer, like the encoder trying to do multiple video streams. I don't know. Let's see. I'm trying to sort of like sort through some of these questions to some of the ones that I think would help multiple people. Some of these are good questions, but they're so specific. So like Perry, I would say refresh inventory lab for your question up there. Sounds like an inventory lab glitch. Manzi was talking about her. So she tried to get ungated in something and her pictures and email thing was like denied and they're asking for attention and pictures. You can do it either way. You can either like resubmit stuff with that or you can close it and open a new one. I don't think that there's necessarily like a better way. Both options are completely viable. Eric, 9 months in, 108K, needed mentor calls with us, like a ton of classes and things like that for you guys. So I think like a better first step would be going through a class. But if you have very like specific individualized questions and you really want to dive in deep with me, pick my brain about specific topics. And I mean, I've got lots of stuff that I'll bring to the table as well as far as things we can chat about. But yeah, if you want to do that, every Monday I do coaching calls. That's all available on our website, hustlebuddiesofficial.com. Sorry, I'm trying to filter through some of these questions. Mary, can you be successful without doing grocery? Of course. Yeah, absolutely. Like, can Walmart be successful because they don't sell Chick-fil-A sandwiches? Of course. Every niche is successful. If it exists on Amazon, someone is profitably selling it on Amazon. So yeah, every niche is profitable. There's no magic niche. There's no perfect niche. There's no best niche. There's no worst niche. Maybe like, I don't know, watches or something, or luxury goods. It's kind of a weird niche, but there's not really like a best niche or a worst niche. So yeah, absolutely, you can do it without grocery. I would say there's not like a need to really limit yourself. So if you're like, oh, I don't want to sell toys, or I don't want to sell grocery, that may be a mindset thing that you might want to look at, because there's not really a good reason to not sell that stuff. It's understandable with things like luxury watches, or I don't know, DVDs, things that are like very difficult to get into, and they take a lot of work to get unrestricted in those categories. But to get unrestricted in grocery is like 30 minutes of your time, and then you're allowed to sell grocery. It's same with toys. These are very simple things to get ungated. I don't think people should steer away from them, but with that said, you don't have to do grocery to be successful. 70% of our inventory is clothing. That's why, like, we do our big Kohl's class and all that stuff, because so much of our inventory comes from clothing. I think it's like such an easy category to start with because it's not restricted. But grocery is great, clothing's great, baby's great, toys are great, topicals are great, everything's great. If it exists on Amazon, it's great. Cody asks if we have a video about hiring help. That is something that is definitely on our list. It's something we talk about, like right now, since I don't have a video, that's a big thing that a lot of our coaching students will go through, like how to hire help, writing SOPs, all that stuff. So it's something, it's very in-depth. I don't know if it would even be good for YouTube. YouTube's not great for like the really nitty-gritty technical stuff. You sort of have to like more generalized YouTube videos because it's a wide audience, but maybe it's definitely on my list of things to try to figure out if I can make it work for YouTube. Awesome. Thanks, Nicole. She's going to pin that state post to the announcements. Let's see. Awesome. Yeah. Sounds like a bunch of people are going to EE distribution now to get some toys. Cool. That's great, guys. Ekta asks, this is a good question because it can get you into a lot of trouble. So I want to make sure I touch on this. Ekta, I just started a month ago. I opened an account as an individual. If I open an LLC now, will the same storefront that I created on Amazon remain the same, or do I need to create a new account for the new LLC? Okay, so this is very important. Do not create a second account when you're just starting. There are ways to do this. There are ways to do it within the rules and confines of Amazon. But for people who are just starting, which is a large majority of the Hustle Buddies group, don't make a second account. It's very easy to get completely banned from Amazon by doing that. When you create the LLC, you're just changing the tax entity. So within Amazon, if you go to your tax settings, you can change all of that stuff. You can change it from your Social Security to your new business's EIN, and you can change your like business name. You can change your business address. All of that stuff, your bank information, all of that can be changed within Amazon. That's very normal. It's nothing that should really get you in trouble. Yeah, do it that way. Do not create a new separate account for your new LLC. Some people ask how to transition to an LLC. So, I mean, that's something, definitely talk to an accountant about it, and do some of your own like Google searches, like which is better for me, sole proprietor, LLC, or S Corp. Those are those are basically the three options here. And it'll depend on a lot of different factors: how big you are, how serious you're taking the business, what kinds of, there's a lot of things that go into it. So I would look that up. I think if you're doing over like 10, 20,000 a month, that's when I personally would start to be like, okay, this is an actual business. This isn't just a little side hustle anymore. This is its own thing. I need to make it its own thing. That's sort of what I would personally go by, but there's not any like empirical data that I'm basing that off of. That's just sort of my feelings. B2 asks, out of stock items, should I delete them? Delete the listing, the product, both? I'm not planning to replenish it. Yeah, you can delete that stuff. That will actually help your IPI score. It won't help it a lot, so it's not like a huge deal, like, oh, everyone needs to go through and do this, everyone's forgetting this. It's not a huge deal. It's not going to affect your IPI score very much, but it will affect your IPI score just a little bit. And in some cases, like in Rick's case, every little bit counts. So delete those old out of stock things. Stephen asks an excellent question. This was a little bit more like higher thinking. So he's saying, instead of looking at the sales rank and margin, he's trying to calculate the potential profit. And that is exactly what basically every large seller does. Yeah, like I'm not looking like, oh, this gets me X amount of money and this gets me, like, no, I want to know how much money this will get me over the course of a month, unless it's like a clearance item. But if we're looking at replenishable things, if we're looking at something I can buy 100, 500, 1,000 of, I want to know how much money it will make me over the course of a month. So trying to calculate that, a couple different ways. You can try and look at like the sales rank drops. If it's like a really slow moving item, you can count them and be like, oh, this has sold 13 times in the past 3 months. So sometimes you can count it. For really high moving things, like let's say you find a grocery item and it's ranked like 50,000. If it's ranked 50,000, you can safely buy like a few hundred of those and you'll sell out within a month. Assuming you have the buy box the whole time, a lot of those are selling. So part of that just comes with experience, knowing roughly how much something should be selling. And then what I would say specifically for replens is do a test buy. Buy like 6 or 10 of something, then buy 18 of something, and then try and figure out, okay, how fast did 18 sell? Oh, I sold 18 in a day. Okay, we'll do 18 times 30, and that's how many you want to have in stock for the month, okay? If you sold 1 in a day, it's like, all right, well, if I sell 1 a day, then I'm going to buy 30 of these so that I'm in stock for 1 month. So that's trial and error, and experience is how you get that. There's not like a perfect, oh, yeah, you can take like the ROI, multiply it by the estimated number of sales, but the estimating number of sales is the difficult part to do when you're a beginner. So yeah, do some tests, gain some experience, and then you'll start to learn. I mean, you can use things like the Jungle Scout estimator or the Keepa estimator. I personally think those are pretty useless numbers. They don't really mean anything to me, but I do know some people who are like, oh yeah, I use Jungle Scout for that. Maybe as a very beginner, but there's not really like large sellers who are doing that. Brenda asks how long to wait for Amazon to respond to an ungating application. If they don't respond within a week, then go into that application and ask them for an update. And you can do that basically every week just to bump it back up to the top. So Crystal asks if there's some brands that absolutely cannot be ungated. There are, but I don't think it's the way that you're thinking. So for example, Levi, you cannot be ungated. Technically, everything can be ungated, but for all intents and purposes, Levi, you cannot become ungated in it because you can't even apply to it. There's no application to go into Levi to be ungated. Like you have to, Levi themselves as a corporation has to contact Amazon and say, oh yeah, Crystal Bailey can sell Levi's on Amazon. We give her permission. And that's never going to happen. Like why would Levi spend money, spend resources on letting you become a seller. That doesn't happen. So there are some brands, but if you can apply to it, there are ways to get ungated in it. That's basically it. And I mean, yeah, and there's a wholesaler for pretty much anything. I don't know, I can't think of anything off the top of my head where it's like, oh yeah, you'll never find a wholesaler for that. I mean, even like Nike and Under Armour, yeah, that stuff is hard to find wholesalers for, but it's possible. I've done it. I know wholesalers for Nike and Under Armour. I don't share that publicly. Hey, if you want to sign up for a coaching call, sure. But yeah, like there's a wholesaler for basically anything. Sometimes you have to get a little bit creative, but they're definitely out there. Ooh, Noah. I don't know how to answer that. That's a common way that people get kicked off of Amazon, having multiple accounts under the same household. There is no way to detach them. Now that you've sort of done it, the damage has been done. Hopefully it doesn't come back and bite you, but yeah, it's going to be something that I would hope doesn't come back and bite you in the butt. But if it does, you're probably going to have to hire someone to help you undo that if and when you were to get in trouble for having two accounts under the same household. The people who are talking about having two different Amazon accounts, that's not, yeah, it's not common. It's really just large sellers who are doing that, and there's very specific things that you have to do. All right, so it looks like that is all the questions on Facebook. Let me get the last couple questions on YouTube, and then we will call it a night. Thanks for coming, guys. Let's see. Bonjour. That is, I know very little French. I'm sorry, different. I cannot answer much of the rest of that. Yeah, I took French for 3 years in high school, but you know, I was in high school, so I didn't care about it and I didn't pay attention. I know a fair bit of Spanish. Oh, actually, side note, guys, we're making a Spanish Hustle Buddies like break-off group. So keep an eye out for that. I believe the name was Amigos Aprendejos, I think. We're working that out still, but yeah, there'll be some posts about that probably this coming week. How do you check the IPI? Should be in your account health. It used to dashboard. My dashboard hasn't been showing it recently, so I think you can find that within your account health tab. Hey, Johnny from France. What's up, man? You were selling paper plates and Amazon wanted an expiration date. There wasn't any. Can you just pick one? In that situation, yeah, you can just pick one. Yeah. Sometimes things are miscategorized. Like maybe the paper plate was listed in like the grocery category, and everything in the grocery category has to have an expiration date. So that may be why. I would put like a year out or 2 years out or something like that. Firefly. So yeah, some of our links, we had to fix some links in the past, and when we did that, old links broke. So what I would recommend, Firefly, if you're trying to find that beginner's kickstart class that we put out, just go directly hustlebuddyofficial.com. Don't put www. That's what messes it up. Just hustlebuddiesofficial.com, and then go to all webinars, and you can find it that way. H. Huss asks if I went to business school. I had a minor in business. I was a music performance major with a minor in theater and a minor in business. But I didn't, I mean, getting a minor is like, it was like 4 classes or 5 classes. It was whatever. Yeah, no, the things that I know about business are not really from any business class, except for some like personal finance stuff I learned, but most of the rest of it wasn't really all that useful. You will learn so much more from business by just doing it than going to college for business. It's the same thing like with music. Anyone I know who's like in music or in theater or in business and they're going to college for it. I mean, I went to college and I was an educator, like I was a teacher, but I always actively tell people don't go to college for that. Just do it and then you'll learn. Yeah. Latoya, payment updated it. You'll have to ask Amazon about like payment issues and things like that. We can't really help you with like account payment issue stuff. Jacqueline, can you still make money without having a brand? So yeah, so what you're thinking of is called private label. There's not, well, there's probably a couple people, but I'm going to say the broad sweeping term within our Facebook group, which has 16,000 people, most of which are fairly successful. No one has their own brand. You only make your own brand for private label stuff. I'm not selling Nate Jackson branded things. I'm selling Nike. I'm selling Adidas. I'm selling Vanity Fair bras. I'm selling Samsung. I'm selling brands that already exist. I don't make my own brand. That's private label. That is a completely different Amazon model. It's not what we do. I don't recommend starting with it. It's a great thing to do, but not as a beginner. So sort of forget all of that stuff. Hey, Robert's back from vacation. My USPS driver is part of Hustle Buddies. He's part of our YouTube. He's always on my live videos, which is awesome. And he's been on vacation the past 2 weeks. I felt bad. His replacement got a big old stack of boxes a couple days ago. I felt bad for her, Robert, but we're glad you're back. Carolyn, a mentoring group. Yeah, we've got some ideas in the works. I'm not 100% which direction I'm going to go with things. Possibly, Carolyn. You can message me like if there was specific things that you wanted or anything like that, Carolyn. You can shoot me a message about that. So pinch meat and cream. You are also talking about private label. What you are doing right now as a beginner, I recommend backing out of. Do not go down that route. Do not do private label as a beginner. That is the absolute worst way to learn how to sell on Amazon. Every ad you will ever see on YouTube is going to tell you to do private label. Well, some of them will say drop shipping, but you can't do that within their terms of service. You're breaking the rules doing that. But you should not start with private label. So the whole like my samples of this, they're shipping 2,000 units. That's a terrible way to start, because what if your product is bad? That's 2,000 units that you're stuck with. With something like retail arbitrage, you can start by buying one of 2,000 different things instead of 2,000 of one thing. And then if, I don't know, 200 of them flop, well, you still got 1,800 items that all sold, that all taught you lessons, that you learned things from, that you made money from. It's such a better way to learn how to Amazon. Private label is great. I don't want people to mistake that. Private label is awesome, but it's a ridiculous way to try to learn Amazon. What instruments do I play? I was a vocal major or a vocal performance. I can play like guitar, piano, stuff like that. All right, I think that's most of the questions over on YouTube. Let me make sure there's no last minute ones. Oh man, Facebook just blew up all of a sudden. All right, I'll go a little bit late. I don't have anything else going on. How difficult is it to get ungated with no sales history? It does not matter what your sales history looks like. If you are getting invoices for things, yeah. Go watch our video on YouTube, Catherine. It's How to Get Ungated in Groceries in 2020. Like that's the exact title of it. Or you can go to the channel and just look through our old videos. You'll see it there. It doesn't matter if you've never sold anything before. It's the same exact process, and it doesn't affect you at all. People were asking if they need a different email account for selling as your like regular customer Prime account. I recommend it, but it doesn't really matter. The reason I recommend it is just to help keep things separate and keep things straight. Or like if you were to ever, like, let's say you sell your Amazon business, you have to sell that storefront and it's connected to your Prime account. It gets really messy when they're connected that way. If you've already set it up, you've set it up, no harm done. Ours is set that way. Like mine is connected to the Prime account. I didn't know back when I was starting, but if I had to do it again, I would separate that. It's not like a huge deal, but there's just a couple little pain points that you might have down the road if you do it that way. Let's see. I think that is about it. Noah, you opened two separate accounts with the same, two separate seller accounts with the exact same email? I don't think I've ever heard of that. Maybe you can clarify that later on. All right, looks like that is the couple more things done. Firefly. So instead of clicking on the links, go to hustlebuddiesofficial.com and then you can find the beginner class that way, Firefly Nanny. Jason, I think you're going to have to ask Emily that one. Maybe a duet with Emily. If I change my Amazon name, will that delete all my history? No, it doesn't delete anything. It doesn't even really matter. Like I change our name like every month or two just because we make so much content and I share my screen so much. It's like there's always a risk that my storefront name, like I didn't blur it out correctly in a video or something like that. So if you've ever seen my storefront name in an old video, there's no possible way it's the same name because I change it so often just in case it gets leaked like that. So that people can't like reverse source me and find my replens because we put out so much content. It's more of an issue for me, but yeah. How do you book a coaching session? It's all on the website, hustlebuddiesofficial.com. You'll see the classes up at the top. You'll see coaching as like a tab at the top, and you can find all the information about that on the website. All right, I think that is most of the questions. Yeah, for you guys freaking out about having like two separate emails for Prime and for business, don't worry about that. It sounded like Noah was saying you have two separate seller accounts, which I do not recommend. There's a lot of people who get kicked off of Amazon for that. With us, it's been an hour and 10 minutes. Again, if you are watching on YouTube, don't forget to give us a thumbs up. If you're watching on Facebook and you are not on our YouTube channel, head over there and subscribe, youtube.com/c/hustlebuddies. We appreciate the subs. We appreciate comments and likes and all of that. Helps us out in the algorithm. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to join in the larger conversations that happen in our Facebook group. There's over 16,000 resellers in the Hustle Buddies Facebook group. You can either search it on Facebook or just go to facebook.com/groups/hustlebuddies and join that way. All right, we will see you out there, guys. Hustle on.